What would it look like if Christianity Today published Paul's letter to the Galatians? You know Paul's letter to the Galatians. It was, well, frankly, pretty sharp. Hey, you people who want circumcision, I'll tell you what. Why don't you just go all the way with the knife? Yikes, that's tough stuff, that. How's about if you are adding anything to salvation, if it's not grace alone, faith alone, in Jesus Christ alone, then you're accursed, you're anathema. Whoa, strong stuff. Christianity Today decides to publish Paul's letter to the Galatians, and what do you know? They received some feedback from Discernment Ditch number 2. Here's one of the letters sent into Christianity Today. In response to Paul the Apostle's article about the Galatian church in your January issue, I have to say how appalled I am by the unchristian tone of this hit piece. Why the negativity? Has he been to the Galatian church recently? I've received this email before. I happen to know some of the people at that church, and they are the most loving, caring people I've ever met. Now, that might be, the people at the Church of Galatia might be very nice people, but if there's false teaching, niceness has nothing to do with it. The fruit of being groovy, kind, is good and worth considering, but heresy overrides all of that, and we need to discuss it. We need to talk about it in the open, and if necessary, name names. If Paul's letter to the Galatians had been printed in Christianity Today, a dear editor, how arrogant of Mr. Apostle to think that he has the right to judge these people and label them accursed. Isn't that God's job? Judge not. Regardless of this circumcision issue, these Galatians believe in Jesus just as much as he does. And it is, hold on. I've received this email too. Look, theology is important. If it's outside of orthodoxy, it's heresy. People go to hell because of that. And we are to judge those issues, not nitpick periphery, but when it's a bullseye essential, we are commanded to judge. Back to the letter. It's very pharisaical to condemn them just because they differ on such a secondary issue. Can't we just get along? I mean, focus on our common commitment to Christ and furthering his kingdom instead of tearing down fellow believers over petty doctrinal matters like works versus grace? If Paul's letter to the Galatians had been printed in Christianity Today, dear CT, I've seen other dubious articles by Paul Apostle in the past, and frankly, I'm surprised that you felt that his recurrent criticisms of the church deserve to be printed in your magazine. Mr. Apostle, for many years now, has had a penchant for thinking he has a right to mark those which cause division contrary to what you have learned and avoid them. Certain Christian teachers who don't agree with his biblical position. Certainly, I commend him for desiring to stay faithful to God's word. Here comes the next word, but I think he errs in being so dogmatic about his views to the point where he feels free to openly attack his brethren. His attitude makes it difficult to fully unify the church and gives credence to the opposition's view that Christians are judgmental, arrogant people who never show God's love. I've received that email from Ken myself. One more. If Paul's letter to the Galatians had been printed in Christianity Today, Paul Apostle paints with too broad of a brush, John, and is far too quick to throw out the baby with the bathwater. Shame on him. This is a ditch, and we don't want to be in this ditch. We are commanded to discern. We are to judge, but we are to do it with the right attitude and about the right issues.